have coming up Dr. Sherma Fleming. Yes. Dr. Sherma Fleming here from Brooklyn serves as principal of Aspirations Diploma High School. We have Elder Carrie Little, who is a professional vocalist who has been an educator. Yes. And we have assistant principal within the Mount Vernon City School District. Dr. Coming up, Raisa Turner.
Amen. You ladies look fabulous.
Fabulous. Oh. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You be killing it. Our educators, we welcome you to the stage. We welcome you.
You want me to start?
Yes, you can, ma'am.
Okay. So, my undergraduate, although I work in technology, my undergraduate, of course, is education. So for me, I'm big on the community as a whole, what we get from our educators. I think a whole lot of us learned during COVID that y'all go through a lot with our children. But it's funny how we probably have forgotten that since. Yeah. So what I would like you to start with for me is, what challenges or how important do you feel it is for the community, meaning parents, guardians, grands, to be present, whatever that means to you, with your children into the success of their learning and to the success of your job? You're not going to get fired.
Go ahead, principal.
Go ahead, principal.
Well, it's important for parents to be partners in education. And it just, like they always say, it takes a village to raise a child.
Sure does.
And that includes the community. So without the community being the backbone of that child, then that child would not be able to be reared up and trained in the way they shall go in the school system. Yes. So I think it's very important for the community to always have a part, because especially for parents, because parents are partners all the time, because there is no book for how parents raise children, and there's no real book of how we have to educate your children. But when you have the community as partners in the educational process, it just helps make things a little easier for those who sit at the table and work with your children on an everyday basis. So I think it's just important to always know that the school cannot do it by themselves. It takes the whole community to put that effort in to raise children, because in order for our children to be successful, we need all hands on deck. Yeah. And I always believe, as a leader, you cannot just do it by yourself. Because I always tell my students, there are rules. There are rules in the street, there's rules at home, and there's rules at school. But the rules also include the community, where the community has to follow the rules to make sure that when you send your children to school, that they are part of rearing the children in the educational system.
Amen. Well said.
Absolutely. So I can piggyback off of that. I heard you say parents, you said community. I actually have changed my language now when I speak about the community and who the children are with, because I work with a lot of children who live in shelters and a lot of foster parents who are taking on other people's kids. And so as I am studying in my doctoral program,
you go, girl.
Go ahead. I have shifted my focus.
Yes.
And I don't say parents anymore. I simply say guardians. I say the child's guardian. Anything that relates to where the child is coming from and who is with them out of school, I say guardians, because it does take a village. It takes anyone. It could be a mom, it could be a dad, it could be both. It could be the older brother, it could be a foster parent, it could be an aunt that I speak with on a daily basis right now in my school for a student who's struggling. So it really does take a village. We all have a responsibility. It is not just the school's responsibility. We all have a responsibility. If you see that your child by kindergarten, first grade, is not reading, is not talking the way you want them to talk, don't sit and wait for the teacher to tell you that. We are living in a day and age, you can go right on your smartphone and Google everything. Whether you
WebMD.
whether you have degrees and educated or not, you can find ways to help your child. And as you said, we must work as a partnership. You learn from us, we learn from you, because that is your child, right? You know them better than we do. But that's why we need you, but you also need us, because we have an expertise in getting them where we need them to be in life. So it is truly, truly a partnership.
Yes, it is.
Just asking what, and the reason that, thank you for letting me ask it again, because I feel that sometimes we're intimidated as the community, as a guardian. I didn't go to school, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do well. So how can I, little old me, work better to make your job easier as well as to the success of my child?
I would always say in the classroom and in the hallway to my colleagues, and I'm going to piggyback on this soon-to-be doctorate candidate. Yeah. I say it, and we would look at each other's on the floor, and I would always say, and I say it every year, Helen Keller's mother got it. And if you know anything about Helen Keller's story, she was blind, right, deaf, and mute, but she went on to graduate college. And her mother was a rich woman. They were wealthy people of their community. But her mother surrendered that to that teacher. And if you ever watch the movie, you'll see the struggle. They didn't have all the techniques and resources that we do. She surrendered that so that teacher could reach her child. I would just say, after watching us during COVID, can you trust us with your children?
Yes.
You don't go to doctors, surgeons, and turn up. You don't go to lawyers and cut up and doubt their ability to craft what they do.
Yes.
But we get the flack. And we get the flack, oh, they don't like my child, whether it's color, whether it's height, whatever. We get a lot of flack that is not fair. Even the teachers that don't look like us. There are teachers that desire to be a special education teacher. And a lot of times we hinder them from doing the thing that they're trained at doing. Humans are our product. And believe you, what New York State puts you through to be certified, to walk in the hall, am I making this up? Believe me, you have to have a level of trust, but first sink your faith in God.
Amen.
Amen. Go ahead, sure.
I think also it's not about the degrees that parents hold. It's just having parents that advocate for their children.
Yes.
And that's the biggest part of education. Parents have to learn and continue to advocate for their child. Because there's this mindset that once that child gets to high school, some parents let go. And then but we know that you can't let go when it's the most crucial time for that child, especially then the next step is college. If you let go, then the advice they're going to receive is from those that are not going to give them the right advice. So I think parents cannot become intimidated because they don't hold a degree. It's not about the degree. It's about your advocacy. And that's what's most important.
Yes.
And I will also say it's about priorities. Education is a priority. Doesn't matter your circumstance. Once you are educated, once you receive knowledge, and I tell my students this all the time, nobody can take that away from you.
That's right.
And some people get it, and I applaud the guardians and the kids who get it, that they know education is their way out.
Yes.
That's the answer to their dreams. But I really challenge those who are still struggling to understand the priorities. We cannot be upset about the fact that the assistant principal called because your child is wearing something that says something inappropriate.
Yes.
But we want to buy all the fancy things for our kids, and then we're struggling to read.
Yes.
So it
Don't make
just,
sense.
you gotta make it make sense.
If I can't read my shirt, I can't be wearing.
I really do
makes
try. The Lord is, that's why I'm in this, that's why I'm calling this, because I really need those parents to know how much education is a priority. And it's not knowing everything, but it's just gaining knowledge, the ability to sit down and receive and hear and apply whatever knowledge. You're going to learn it and grow and learn things every day. You're not going to learn everything right away. But to be able to sit down and learn and apply knowledge, that is a priority. And it's actually a privilege. There's people around the world that can't get that.
That
And
don't
we-
have it,
that
and don't
don't
have it for free,
And we
exactly.
have it. Use it wisely.
Amen.
Amen, amen. Did we get that? Now, each of you are in a urban setting. We in New York City are in an urban setting, no matter how diverse our student population is or is not. How do you, from your various perspectives, address the stereotypes that may or may not fit with our children of, and I'm saying violence and single parent families and all the different things that the world sometimes dismisses our kids' future. How do you keep that instilled in our kids?
Well, I would say I do not like to see when teachers are teaching to low expectations. Come on. And I've recently been in a school setting where I saw it. And I had to pull out all the skills from the transition kit to reach. I went in as a substitute guest teacher, and I had to pull everything out and went home tired because I had to connect to a fifth grade classroom that I would not accept the low behavior, and I set the bar. And a teacher saw me in the hall when she came up. She said, "We love you." And they don't know me from Adam because we ain't moving this line while you're talking. Something as simple as that. I'll wait. We're the last class out the building. And I know your high school is different. I'm like, but I'll wait. Because there is a time to mold and groom them. So I do believe we have to teach and show our children. I always told mine that I'm your first teacher.
Yes.
I don't have to be in the classroom for you to respect me. So we, I think, need to instill in them to have high expectations, but I think we set the bar. And it's about them learning to first be accountable to us and our expectations. I knew in third grade I was going to college. Didn't know what college was. But that immigrant West Indian woman who wasn't able to finish her
It's gonna
education communicated that to an 8-year-old.
Yes. That's powerful.
So for me, I see it a lot in the special education community. And because I mostly work with urban, my experience has been in urban schools most of my career, I see a lot of us who teach say things like, well, they can't do this. They don't know how to multiply. They can't even read this. So how do you expect us to do that? And I'm like, excuse me? I don't say can't. I never, don't say the word can't around me, because that's gonna trigger something in me, and I'm, gonna take it there, and now I'm gonna have to school you.
Start ticking.
Right, because why are you saying that they can't? First of all, it's our job to get them there.
Yes, yes.
doesn't matter the route we take, we got to figure that out.
Yeah.
That's our job as educators. With support, we figure it out together. With the guardians, we figure it out together. So the expectation has to be set high. And then also in a lot of urban settings, it's almost like no one has a role model of what that high expectation looks like. They've never seen it. It baffles me because it even starts off with just your presence and how you dressed for how you want to be received. Even in that, some people are like, well, oh, you're so, yeah, I'm coming to work and I'm coming to be a role model because these kids need to see how success looks like. How are they gonna know what success looks like if they are not around it? If their home life is full of turmoil and they're coming in here, they need to see what it looks like. A lot of them don't see it, so they can't dream it, they can't aspire it. So we have to, I mean, even in my presence, in my walk, in my talk, in my actions,
Absolutely.
I definitely stop what they're saying with this low of expectation, and we set the bar high with
Show
that.
up with purpose.
Absolutely.
I would say that your vision of a school have to be aligned with what the kids see. Expectations goes a long way. I've been working as a transfer school principal for over 10 years, and transfer school students are the most vulnerable students because they have been to comprehensive schools and they were not successful there. And those schools tell those students that they're not going to make it. And my passion for my children drives me and drives them to get to the finish line.
Amen. Beautiful.
I always tell them the race is not given to the swift nor to the strong,
Who could endure
but
to the
those
end?
who endure it until the
Amen.
end.
Beautiful.
And saying that to them gives them purpose because I see a purpose in them that they could go higher if they just become focused and let all the noise stay out the door and come into a building and feel that the staff is there to support them. So black and brown children in New York City have it hard.
Absolutely.
But we, as minority principals and women in leadership, we set the tone of what our expectations are for our children. So for me, if the vision I have for my children is because I always want them to go as high as I have gone.
That's right.
Because
Dr.
if
Sherman,
I could
that's
do
right.
it, if I could do it, they can do it.
Absolutely.
And that's what we have to continue to place in them for them to reach the cornerstone
goal.
of making it higher.
Beautiful,
Hit the target.
beautiful. We have a question. We're going to take a side question.
Yes, we actually have two questions, and I think part of one question has been answered, so I'll expand on it. It's how do we begin to reach a generation where the majority have gotten so used to mediocrity and have no desire for higher learning and may even aspire for social media stardom as opposed to education?
It's going to be the next me book.
So every student doesn't go to college, but a student could get a trade.
Yes, yes.
And as long as you have a trade, you have success. So I always tell my kids, once they graduate high school, you may graduate a high school diploma, but don't stop. Because everyone is not equipped for college, because they already struggled through traditional school, and now they're at a transfer school, and they need to graduate by the age of 21. So at the end of the day, I know they push college for every student, but every student does not go to college.
Yes.
And that just because you go to college does not make you successful all the time.
Yes.
Because most of the richest people in the world haven't gone to college, but they got a trade into something that they love and mastered it. So technology, you have to meet them where they at to get them to love something that's going to make them successful.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, you have to meet the children of this generation, the entitled generation, I call them, because they're entitled because they want stuff without working for it. So when you tell them that you have to come to school, you got to do your work, you got to take exams.
Not come to
It
school.
becomes- it becomes something really difficult for them because society has made technology the main focus for them. But what society has not done is take accountability of what they have done to our children with the use of technology.
Yes.
Because when you only use technology, then they can't think on their own.
Yes.
Can I just?
She is preaching.
Absolutely.
I'll be very brief. I had an experience with another 5th grade class recently. And you know they're the cutting edge. And the teacher who felt I was not qualified because she doesn't know Miss Little, but she wasn't there. And she said, well, I want them to do this ELA prep, and then I'm going to come and get them from you. And then she came in the room like 80 minutes later, and her mouth dropped because there was no chaos in the room. And every question was answered.
Wow.
You have to challenge them to do things that they don't think they can do. If you're in the classroom and even at home, the issue was the iPads weren't working. And while she thought she was going to stymie me because she knew the children didn't have all the access to get on. Some could get on and some couldn't because they're training them right now to do the tests on the devices. I said, where is the paper at? And where is the pencil? Because I'm the paper and pencil generation. And when she came back 80 minutes later, every question, multiple, was answered, and the 2 short answers with 2 details each on paper with name, date, and class on it. And one of the kids said, Miss Little, we're going to do this old school. I said, yes, we are, but it's going to get done. Because we have to challenge them to think outside of the technology. And I said to them, this still works, even when that doesn't work.
When my
because
calculator
that was
dies.
built by this. So we have to challenge them.
Before you answer, I'm going to bring in this other question, or?
This is a very hot topic because the questions are really coming in online. And I think, Elder Little, you just said it, you know, technology and parents adjusting to the technology. And what do you say to parents who are trying to manage the use of technology in teaching their children and the challenges that you've also seen in the classroom? So what would you say the benefits are, and what do you see working in your learning environments, and what advice would you give to parents?
So I feel like I'm in the middle, also with generation and era. I experienced both. And so other professions evolve when the world evolves, and I feel like education continues to stay stagnant. We don't evolve the way we should, the way the world continuously evolves. And so hearing that technology is in this era, old school was paper-based, in reality, we really need to mesh the two. And that is a skill that we all quickly kind of jumped on with the tech side when COVID came. And had to figure out how to now merge the two when we went back into school. Because it's really meeting the kids of every generation, every era that's gonna be different, where they are. As the world evolves, we have to evolve and be in alignment to what is happening outside in society. It will align with our kids. We cannot just strictly do paper-based and sit on the back of our seats, which you don't do that, but I'm just thinking of a teacher that does, and just say, do 10 questions. That's not gonna get the kids of today. We also can't play videos of something a topic that we want them to get all day either.
Doing math.
Yeah. We can't do that all day either. We have to do both. We have to do a little bit of everything. We have to dibble and dabble. So I always have a toolkit that teachers can use full of resources. It includes paper-based, it includes technology. Now, to help with technology, we do workshops at our school for the teachers. I'm also a tech guru, so everybody knows, come to me, I can quickly teach you. And we also are getting there, we're not there yet, but working on the families and the community to get them on board, giving them workshops in order to help their child. But I think right now we're at a point, I can just speak for my school, where if families don't know what to do with technology or whatnot, we kind of make it easy for them. So a lot of the work doesn't really stay on the technology. A lot of the work for technology is done in the classroom. So at home, they can get like paper things, but they also know how to quickly log into their little iReady stuff and do their work, right? We train them to do it on their own, and actually have them teach their families, right? Because now if you're teaching someone else, that's a skill right there.
Yes.
That's gonna make you elevate in your comprehension, just in your everyday life. So schools now are definitely training teachers, training parents. We have parent workshops. I know many schools that do workshops with parents on tech alone, just to help them navigate. And we cannot use the excuse anymore of, I don't know how to navigate something. We can't use it anymore. Your kids are there. They know how to do it.
Yeah.
They
Knowledge
can
is
show
power.
you.
Get ready, get ready,
Yeah,
get ready.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
But in parents with technology, I think the parents are not monitoring what their children are doing. So I think that it's a curse and it's a gift. I think that a lot of times when the parent think their child is doing homework on the iPad or their cell phone that they give them at the age of 9,
Red flag.
they're actually on playing video games and they're doing everything but homework. So I think parents have to also monitor what their children are doing and not leave it up to the child themselves, because I think that's what's happening. And when stuff is happening when it comes to doing their homework, a parent has to continuously check what the child is doing on the technology. And a lot of times the parents are not doing that.
You mean TikTok is not SAT prep?
No, so it just creates chaos for both the parent and the student, because they're not the parent is not taking full control of what is happening on the on that technology tool. So the parent must take responsibility and accountability of what is being done on an iPad or a laptop or their phone when it comes to their education.
Yes. And so this other
Our
question.
last question.
Oh, well, if it's the last question, I think it is.
Because I just saw our time is up, so our last question.
Our last question then is, what role can the church play as part of the village to help in discipline and education?
Woo, woo, woo. First, their children got to come to church. Let's
That
start
sounds like
there.
a church answer.
That's where it would start.
So in New York City and New York State, you cannot mix the two with church and state. But that doesn't mean you cannot lead in your school in a certain way. Absolutely. Where you could bring what the church is telling you into your school. Yes. So you lead by example, but you lead with purpose. And for me, you have to try to make the two without stepping on anyone's toes and your superintendent getting phone calls from, parents saying they talk about church. Like, my students know if they come into my office, I'll be playing gospel music. Some of them will come in and they would still speak to me. Like, I treat my students as young adults because that's what they are. Yes. So I have to talk to them the way the world is speaking to them. Yeah. And at the end of the day, we cannot shy away from what you are taught in the church because you're in school. Yes. So for me, you have to lead with purpose and make sure that you try to mix the two without trying to violate the New York State rules. So for me, every day is a struggle going into a school building where I have 2 other transfer schools in, and some of the children is just out of control. But I believe in structure and discipline.
Amen.
So in the church, there is structure, and there is
discipline.
discipline, and you have to govern yourself accordingly. So I expect my children to do the same when they are in my building.
Yes.
Absolutely. Another way we can do it, so I mean, I govern myself accordingly as well. I definitely got my oil the beginning of this
That's
school
what I'm
year. Because schools are not safe anymore,
Yes.
unfortunately.
Yes.
But wherever I am,
It is safe.
it's going to be safe. Hello, somebody. So ain't nobody saw me do it before school even started, and I just bless doors, bless my office, bless
yes.
everywhere, because we're gonna turn up,
Yes.
but we're gonna safely turn up where everybody is still gonna end up safe. Nobody's gonna get hurt. We're gonna learn, and we're gonna get through this together. So that's definitely one way. Another way is involving the community. So I'm big on after-school programs. If there are churches in the area, community centers, no matter what religion it is, whoever fits that religion, I will give them the resource. Here's an after-school program you can send them to if you want them to keep them grounded. If we have certain events, we can invite certain people who are from the church community to speak on whatever topic it is, as long as it's not a conjunction of church and state, but just the presence alone of a church member in the community coming to talk to parents, financial literacy programs, things like that involving the community can definitely help with that.
Amen, amen. I'm going to answer Elder Little based on a sermon that she preached, and she said in the sermon, the school, whatever PS, whatever, is not a Christian school. But it is a Christian school because I, Elder Little, am in this building.
Absolutely.
And we're going to end it on that note. Absolutely. We are the church. Amen.
And they get
Let's
so-
give our education panelists a hand.